Hi, I'm Kathy. I'm the Adult Services Librarian at the Waynesville Library, and today we are going to highlight some garden chores for July. And we are in the Giving Garden at the Canton Library. If you've never been over to the library to take a look at this lovely garden, please do so. It's behind the library, can't miss it. And there are some great types of gardening going on back here that are like demonstrations, and it's very educational. The one I'm standing next to here is elevated, and it's a square foot gardening example, and we'll zoom in on it in a moment and show you how that works. So first thing I want to show you is that I always grab this bucket when I'm going out to work in the garden, because you never know when you're going to need gloves. Even pulling weeds can really be a problem if you don't have gloves. Always have a trowel, some bug spray. And another thing that I always carry with me is packets of seeds that I'm going to be successively planting. So this one is cilantro, and I always successively plant, which means every 2 weeks I go out and plant some seed, because with this heat, your cilantro seeds will bolt, which means they start to flower and go to seed right away. So I just keep it going throughout the whole summer so that I always have fresh cilantro to snip. I always have a pair of snips in here and some labels and markers in case there's something that needs to be remarked, because sometimes the ink wears off. The first thing I want to show you today is how to get your herbs to produce more leaves. And the leaves will actually have more of the actual essential oil in them if you do this one thing. And that is to very carefully check your plants for the seed head that is starting to grow. That will shoot up out of the middle of the plant. It'll have beautiful flowers on it, but once that happens, your plant will stop putting a lot of energy into the leaves. And for basil, for example, what you really want is for your leaves to be really healthy and to have a lot of the essential oil in them. So you just pick these off. This purple basil over here, same thing. Just pick that off. It comes out the center. Now the only exception to this would be if you want the plant to go to seed, if you're saving seed, say for the seed lending library at the Waynesville Library, just let that grow. It'll come up out of the top and it'll be a stalk about this big. It will have flowers on it. Let it go completely to the end of the season. Just leave it alone and it will flower, and then it'll get seeds. And you can take the whole plant, turn it upside down, put it in a paper bag, tie it and let it dry, and then the seeds will fall to the bottom of the bag. This white rack that you see here is actually part of the intensive gardening called square foot gardening. And this is a way of growing things in a small space. This is a raised bed. You bring the soil in. The plants are grown pretty close together. And as you can see in this particular frame, it's raised up pretty high for ease of access. One thing I want to mention while we're here is it's a good idea to deadhead your flowers like that. It really does help with flower production if you come around and get the dead heads out. If you're saving seed, that's a great time to save the seed from those. Also, if you plant flowers in with your tomatoes, marigolds specifically, they do help with nematodes, which are something that you want to keep away from your tomatoes. Next, let me show you something that you can do to help your tomatoes be healthier. So you can see this beautiful tomato plant with the big slicers, got some real big tomatoes on there already. But it's really important to get down here and cut off these branches that are way down here, because we are susceptible to blight in this area, and blight is a soil-borne disease that can attack your plants. So it's really helpful if you get those leaves off of the bottom of the plant. And it's really great if you can water with soaker hoses so that you don't have the soil splashing up. But if you can't manage that, then one of the most important things you can do is to go around and pull those lower leaves off of your tomato plant. Next thing I want to show you is about the right size to harvest cucumbers. Got one here that's ready, and it's just about right. This is, I'm not sure what variety this is, but I'm guessing it's just like a Kirby or a pickling cucumber. This is about the right size, even a little smaller if you don't want any seeds. And if you're going to save seeds from your cucumber plants, and if you'd like to donate some to the seed library, we would appreciate that. You should mark your plant with something that you will remember, like a red ribbon or something bright colored that you'll remember, okay, I'm not gonna harvest anything from this plant. I'm gonna let them get 3 times this size, long past you would eat it. Big, overgrown, like one of those cucumbers or a squash that you forget about and you don't harvest it and you come back from vacation and it's this big. That's what you want for seed saving. So this is perfect for eating, but if you want to mark a plant that you're going to save seeds from, especially if it's a really healthy plant, the best thing to do is to remind yourself, mark it with a bandana or a little piece of string or something, and let those fruits get overgrown and then harvest the seeds from them. And if you need help with that, I have a seed saving brochure on the library's webpage, so you're welcome to look at that or email me if you have any questions. Here's another example of square foot gardening in a lower bed. This one has a trellis and it also has a cage for tomatoes, and if you'll notice all these beautiful flowers, squash at one end, beans at the other. The flowers draw pollinators to your garden, which you definitely want, and it's also beautiful, but it's a great way to add beauty to your garden, but also to bring all the birds and the bees and the butterflies to your garden, and they'll hang out here and then they'll pollinate your plants for you. For example, plants that do not have both male and female in their flower and they need to be pollinated with pollinators, this is a great way to do it. One example of that would be peppers. This is a really fun way to grow sugar snap peas. This TP setup that they've got here is awesome. This ring is an embroidery ring. You can get them at any craft store. And then they've got these set up in a TP fashion, and this is really healthy sugar snap pea plants in here, because usually by now it's so hot that they start to die off. But these are doing really well. As you can see, there's lots of peas on this plant still. And one great thing about peas is they fix nitrogen in the soil, so they're really, really good for your soil.